Relative clauses. A relative clause is a dependent clause that modifies a word, phrase, or idea in the main clause. Do you get that? Huh? Why do I bother teaching grammar in preschool? Hi, I'm Damien and I'm one of Pavilion ELT's vloggers. Welcome to the May-June issue of the Modern English Teacher. In Season 3, I'm focusing on the new theme from each issue. I'll then highlight the main points from one article and relate it to my own teaching context. Hopefully, through this process, you'll take some of these ideas and connect them to your own teaching context, no matter where you are in the world. The theme of the current issue is young learners. I've been looking forward to this theme all year because, for me personally, I run a small language college and most of the students are young learners. After looking through the latest issue, I decided on the article Teaching Grammar in Preschool by Anka Zappart. Zappart starts with the question, why even bother teaching grammar in preschool? And then goes on to share her ideas on how to promote language in the very young learner classroom. Let's go over this in more detail. Zappart sets the scene for her ideas by talking about why grammar isn't really focused on in very young learner classrooms. At this age, courses focus mostly on the development of listening and speaking skills and learning from context, rather than teaching grammar explicitly. However, Zappart believes this type of reasoning has left grammar abandoned at this level. This leads to a single word vocabulary focus in class. Zappart then shifts to language acquisition and shares the common metaphor of children being sponges. This implies that English language exposure alone is enough for students to speak or communicate in a second language. This is not the case with EFL, as there's limited input and exposure to English outside of the class. No sponge is going to fill up if there's nothing to fill it up with in the first place. The rest of the video will now look at 5 of Zappart's approaches and resources for promoting language that goes beyond vocabulary and help fill that sponge a little bit better. The teacher is the foundation for a rich language learning environment in the classroom. Teachers can promote structure by analysing the curriculum to check that vocabulary is always accompanied by a structure. Connected to this, I noticed in some of my observations, teachers were under-challenging the students. They could pass the class by just giving yes or no answers or pointing at the correct flashcard. So much like Zappart, I decided to demand high, which is a concept coined by Adrian Underhill. It's about getting the right challenge level in the classroom. So I always encourage teachers to make sure that they're pushing our students away from those single word answers and giving them frames or structures to put that vocabulary into. Symbols are something that stands for something else. They can be used to practice abstract grammatical concepts such as grammatical structures. For example, a symbol of a heart could be used for like, or a crossed out heart for I don't like. Children can then manipulate them physically with flashcards to make a sentence. This symbol technique I've also seen used in speech therapy. A speech therapist app called Free Speech uses symbols and colourful semantics, which I'll talk about later, to build awareness of language. Oh, if you're enjoying this video, make sure you teach that like button a lesson. On to approach 3. Symbolic representation can also be extended into gestures. Here are some of Zapat's examples. Moving the hand along the body and legs for I am wearing. Touching the chest twice and pointing at the eyes once, rhythmically. I can see, which can be later extended to other verbs. Using a certain number of fingers for one of the adverbs of frequency. 5 fingers for always, 4 fingers for usually, 2 fingers for sometimes, and no fingers for never. Use colour-coded cards tagged to the different elements of a structure. This approach was created by a UK speech therapist, Alison Bryant. Zampart gives an example of this technique in a house activity. She uses colourful semantics to describe the location of different animals in the room. It helped the students to see how the sentence is formed while they were speaking. Songs are great in the very young learner classroom and also contain structures that can then be expanded on after the song. Songs can be repeated with purpose. Returning to our earlier example of like and food, we could use a song containing this structure. There's many that you can find online. Repeat with purpose by adding gestures to the song or changing the vocabulary sets around. For example, from food to toys. Finally, you could build on the structure and add favourite. What's your favourite food? I think Zampart clearly shows we need to redefine the concept of grammar with very young learners to get better results. Over to you. Do you teach very young learners grammar? And if so, how do you go about it? Leave a comment. If you want to read this article yourself, then head over to Modern English Teacher. It's available free. Before you go, make sure you subscribe to get more videos that are going to push your professional development to greater heights. See you later.